learn about is photo organizing by myself, Tom Kreuzer. First, a little bio. I'm known as the PC guy because I had the personalized license plate PC guy for close to 50 years. I no longer have it, so if you see somebody else with PC guy now, they're the new PC guy. I'm the son of John Kreuzer here at Carondelet. Let me make sure I'm recording. I record these presentations, so if you do miss one or want to revisit it, you're welcome to do that. Let's see, where am I there? Yes, it is recording there. That's good. I retired after 40 years at 3M and from their information technology. I'm an officer and presenter for the 3M Personal Computing Club for over 48 years. And still continue. In fact, this same exact presentation I gave to the 3M Personal Computing Club an hour and a half ago. At its peak, the 3M Club, Personal Computing Club, had 1,200 members. We're now about 100 members, so things have changed a little bit. I mentioned here that I'm thrifty, not cheap, so if there's a lower cost solution or a more inexpensive solution, I'll usually recommend that. Also, I do one-on-one free computer help or tech in 30-minute time slots. I usually do the first and the third Monday of the month from 1 to 3 p.m. So the next ones will be March 3rd and 17th. Also, we have another person here, Tom Strom, who's also just started doing some help there, and he's available March 12th or March 26th from 2:30 to 4:30. If you're interested in signing up, you can call or stop down at the front desk and they'll get you on the list. Okay, in March, our next topic in March is kind of a continuation on photos. We'll be talking about photo editing. So today we're talking about organizing and sharing, and we'll talk about editing kind of to complete some of that. We'll talk about some of the tools, whether it's your camera, apps, web, software, and some of the tips and what I use. Also, along with my brother-in-law here and my sister and my dad, we do the Fix-It Clinic, and our next Fix-It Clinic here is March 24th from 1 to 3 p.m. You can sign up for 15-minute slots. We'll try and fix anything that you have, appliances, lamps, electronics. We also do answer computer questions, but because it's 15 minutes, it has to be a pretty specific question there. I mentioned that this is being recorded, and all the past meetings have been recorded, and the handouts are also out there. If you go out to the Carondelet website, in the resources area, you'll find all the past meetings. And one of the advantages, I mentioned the recording, I put this recording, so it's done on my computer, and I upload it to YouTube. YouTube closed captions it. So that's technology that's just great. If you're having a hearing problem or the mics, or we have people watching on TV, if it's not quite clear, you can go back and watch it with closed captioning there. Okay, let's get to our main topic today, which is organizing and sharing photos by myself, Tom Kreuzer. This is a graphic that I stole, so this isn't part 3. Don't worry, you didn't miss part 1 or part 2, but I like the graphic there. Today, with the number of photos and the number of devices we have, we need help organizing and sharing so that they don't get lost. Don't have this office or desk that's just completely covered with stuff. There are many tools today, and many sites, and even artificial intelligence available today. Unfortunately, you need to have a plan. You need to decide on your plan, and you need to put in a little bit of effort to make it work. Doesn't automatically happen. You can't snap your finger or dump all your photos and say, poof, you know, do it. Taking time now will pay back 1,000-fold down the road with access to your photos from anywhere on any device. I get the question from people that most people think that everybody else has their photos organized and I'm the only one who doesn't. So let's just honestly raise your hand. Do you have your photos organized, or are you thinking about organizing your photos? So are you thinking about organizing? Okay. And that's most people. Like I say, most people do not have their photos organized. So don't feel that you're behind the curve or stuff like that. You do have to make an effort to do that, and unfortunately, it's usually not a high priority of everybody. They'd like to have everything done, but they haven't done it. So unfortunately, for most people, their photos are a mess, and they have no plan. And I ask here, is this you? And this is a description that I found on a website called Reddit, where a husband and wife had posted this out there. It said, I have photos on 2 computers. I have my phone, which runs out of space until I delete some pictures, and then it fills up again. I have 3 external hard drives. I have several SD cards from old digital cameras. We have 2 Google photo accounts, both of which are out of the free storage, and we're paying monthly fees for it. I have some photos out on Shutterfly, Facebook, Instagram, and the Apple iCloud, which is also out of space, and we're paying for 200 gigabytes a month. And then she finally says, I want to simplify everything, but don't want to have to keep paying for more storage and more apps than what they need there. And that's truly where almost everybody is at. They just are kind of overwhelmed by what they have, and so they haven't started anything. As the ancient Chinese philosopher says, don't be overwhelmed. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Start with a single photo collection and go from there. Start with your photos that you've taken in 2025 and just start organizing those and putting them in albums and getting them collected. Once you get done with that, then maybe start finding your photos that you have from 2024 and working on that. It's not going to happen in an hour, in a day, in a week. You just have to start at some point, and depending on the numbers that you have, it'll take as long as it's going to take there. Next is information and tips for getting you going with your photos there. So that's what I hope to. I don't have the blueprint for everybody because everybody's got different requirements and different needs. And so you'll see that there's all kinds of different options on the way to go and what to do. I mentioned here, do some of the tips that I say, do all the tips that I do, but I would hope that out of today, you'll resolve today to get off your butt and do something. Because again, it's not going to happen overnight, but if you consciously make that effort and start moving forward, you can start organizing and sharing your photos. I mentioned here I won't be covering videos because photos and videos are a little bit different, and you have different options as far as where to store it or how to store it or how to share it. So it's a little bit different. So just concentrate on the photos first. This is the most important thing when organizing and sharing there. One system of record. So you have to pick one place to share your photos and act as your system of record. and it must be a cloud service on the internet. It can't be, I'm going to put everything on my C drive on a laptop or a desktop, or I'm going to have everything on my phone and that. No, you cannot operate that way. The cloud or the internet allows access at any time, from anywhere, on any device, by anyone, and anyone that you authorize. So it isn't like hackers are getting access to your photos or stuff like that. It's people that you authorize. These are the best places to store your photos. And there isn't one place. I'm not going to tell you you absolutely have to put it out on the Apple iCloud. No. The Apple iCloud works great for some people, and it works great especially for people who have all Apple devices. So if you have an iPhone and an iPad and an iMac, that's probably the best place for you to store. You get 5 gigabytes of space for free, but as you have more and more photos and if you scan and do things, you're going to have to purchase more storage. And the storage, this is an example of the storage. It costs $10 for 2 terabytes of space. Microsoft OneDrive is an excellent option for a number of people, especially if you have purchased Microsoft 365 from Microsoft. You're paying a yearly fee of $70. You get 1 terabyte of space. That terabyte can be used both for your documents and for your photos. So that may be the best option for you. Another option is Google Drive. Google Drive also contains a system called Google Photos. And the Google Drive, you get 15 gigabytes of free space, $10 a month for 2 terabytes, plus it comes with a few artificial intelligence tools. This is what I'll be talking about. This is what I personally use. Here's another great option, Amazon Photo. Amazon Photo, you get 5 gigabytes for free, but if you are already an Amazon Prime member, and a lot of people I know are Amazon Prime members, you get unlimited photo storage. So you can store thousands or 100,000 photos out there and not pay anything a month to store them out there and share them with other people. So that's a great option. Another option is Adobe Lightroom. Adobe Lightroom, you may have heard of Adobe Photoshop. Photoshop is their high-end professional photographer tools, but they do have kind of a semi-professional or for serious amateur photographers called Lightroom. That's $10 a month for 1 terabyte, plus it comes with a bunch of tools. So if you're more of the serious photographer and that is going to be probably your best option. Another option I hear from people is Facebook, Instagram, and other social media services. And to that I say, N-O, capital N-O, no. It's good to post photos out there and share them with your friends and family, but none of these sites is geared towards you organizing it and sharing it long term with people. It's to post, oh, look at my lunch today, or here's something that happened with the kids today, or something like that. It's good to post things out there that way, but they're not meant to organize and share your data. In fact, most of them will, if you upload a photo or take a photo and put it on there, they reduce the quality because they recognize most of the people are looking at the photo on a device like this. Well, that's different than, gee, I want a higher quality photo that I can pop up on a 65-inch TV and see good detail and good quality. You want long term, you want a system that supports that. You don't want a system that's made for looking at it on a small screen like that. So these Facebook, Instagram, or other social media services, no. These other ones, whether it's Apple, Microsoft, Google, or Amazon Photos or Adobe, those would be, pick one of those. Those are the top ones. So here's some tips about the system of record itself. Whichever one you pick, if the app or software that you use to take or edit your photos does not directly allow access to the cloud files, you can use the sync services to move files from your phone up to the cloud and back down again. And so there's an app, Google Photos. Install it on your phone, whether it's an iOS device or an Android device. It'll automatically, I take a picture, it'll automatically send it up to the cloud. And so that syncing and that is done automatically. If you're just using Apple devices and you're going to use the Apple Cloud, by default, the Apple iCloud, it's automatically turned on every time you take a picture to upload it to the Apple iCloud. So if that's what you're using, you want to make sure it's turned on your phone. You want to make sure that you have adequate space up at the Apple iCloud, and then stuff is kind of taken care of there. If you're not sure that syncing is taking place or that, you can do a Google search to see if you've somehow turned it off or you've run out of space or you've got some other problem there. But even Microsoft has an app, OneDrive, and OneDrive will sync data between your phone or your tablet and the Microsoft Cloud there. This is an important point. The cameras in that over time have gotten more sophisticated, whether they're the cameras in your phone or if you have a separate digital camera to take photos. A lot of them support what are called raw camera formats. Well, those raw formats are high quality images, but those high quality images may or may not be compatible with the cloud service that you're uploading your photos to. So you want to make sure that they're both compatible with each other. In some cases, you can just turn a setting on in your phone to save it in a different format, or pick a service that does support the format that you want to use. Now that you're utilizing the cloud and you're putting stuff up there, you don't want to just have stuff in the cloud. You also have to have all those photos backed up. And backups of your cloud photos can be to laptops, they can be to desktops, they can be to external drives. And we talked about a number of the options for backing up back in December 2024. Lots of options there. Okay, what do I use? I use Google Photos. So I use the Google Cloud to put my photos in. And I use Google Photos on I have an Apple iPad tablet, I have an Android tablet, I have an Android smartphone, and I use it to back up, share, and view my photos. You can install the Google Photos app on Apple devices, so that's the iOS, or Android devices. They make it available on all of them. That's why I say, depending on what devices you have, that may dictate what cloud service works best for you, And by default, you want to make sure that the stuff is turned on to automatically back up or sync all your photos taken on your device, and you want them uploaded automatically at the highest quality. Uploaded photos, when they do go up to the cloud there, they aren't just sitting out there for anyone to steal or anyone to look at. They're only visible to you. So unless somebody has your account and password, they can't see a single photo that you take. And if they break into the Google servers, all they see is zeros and ones. They don't even know that it's a photo. So don't worry about, well, bad people are going to have access to my photos. The only way bad people can have access to your photos is if you give them your account and password. So the uploaded photos are only visible to you until you choose to share them. And when you share them, you can share them with individuals, like family members or that, or you can choose to make it available to the entire web, but you choose which albums, which individual photos you want to share and with who you want to share them. I also use a package called Google Picasa to edit my photos, to manage my photos, and manually upload them to Google Photos. And I'll talk about that, the process that I use. So I do use this free software, Google Picasa. Google came out with it probably 20 years ago now. It's very fast, it's easy to use, provides great editing and organizational tools. So lots of pluses on the plus side, big minus on the minus side. Picasa was retired by Google. They're no longer making updates to it in May of 2016. So it's no longer being updated. It still works for what I need, and I haven't found a better package, especially a free package, and it's available on Windows and Mac versions. What I show today, you can do most of what I show using other free software like Microsoft Photos that comes with Windows or Apple Photos that comes with the Mac. It's just that the features vary from package to package. When I'm doing some of my functions to organize, like changing a file name, I can do that to 100 files in less than a minute using Picasa. Well, if I had to use Microsoft Photos or Apple Photos, it might take me 30 minutes to do it because I have to do it one file at a time. I have to change it. So each package has certain features or functions or ease of use, and you're going to run into that depending on what you want to do. Today I will not be talking about editing photos. We'll talk about that in the next presentation in March. Okay, so I mentioned I use Google Picasa. I usually do this once a month. So this is not something that I do every day with photographs, work on my photographs. Yes?
You want questions or do you want us to wait till the end?
If you could wait to the end, unless you feel that it's a short one and we can get out right away. Okay? So this is a function that I do once a month. I'll usually gather up all of the photos and all of the images that I have for the month and work on it. And I usually spend no more than an hour organizing and uploading them to Google Photos. So it doesn't take me long to do. Once you've got that plan, once you've got that process, once you've got a tool that lets you do what you want to do. So once a month, what I do is I collect the photos that I'm working on in a folder on my desktop. So I have a desktop computer. I prefer to use that because it has a bigger display and I have a keyboard and I can do things faster than trying to do things on a phone or a tablet or anything else. But a lot of this stuff could be done using just a phone. If all you have is a phone, you can use a phone. It just can be a lot easier on some of these other platforms. What I do is I manually copy data from my phones. I have multiple phones. I could download data from Google Photos that's already backed up. If I have Facebook photos that I've saved, I've accumulated them over the month. I may have several other cameras that I use. Family members may have taken photos that they've sent to me. I may have gotten text message, but I accumulate that from all these different sources. So let's do a little demo here. So as a demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a photo of our lovely group here. So if you want to look this way and smile a little bit. There, I took a photo. If I have Google Photos on my phone, I can just take a look here and I'll see there's the most current photo that I took of the group here. And then there's a little indicator here whether it's sent it up to the cloud, the Google Cloud up there. And it's already sent it up to the cloud. In fact, just to prove that, let's go out to Google Photos. This is Google Photos in a browser on my laptop here. And if I go here and look under the photos and refresh this, there we are. That's an example of taking the picture, Google Photos, uploaded it to the cloud. At the end of the month, if I want to work with this photo, there's a couple of things that I can do. One, I could copy it off of the phone here, but I can also download it from Google Photos here. So I can select this, I can click on this, I can download it, and now that photo that I just took is on my laptop here. So I didn't want to do that. Let's go back here. Let's bring up the folder. I'm going to put this in that work directory. I mentioned that I accumulate all this stuff in my work directory here. I'm going to cut it and let's put it in my work directory. And my work directory is named pictures_work. And we'll paste it in there. So now I've got a directory of photos that I'm going to be working with for the month. If I go to my Google Picasa over here, you'll see this is a photo here. There's our photo that we just took today. And we've got it ready to use there. But I accumulate all the photos that I'm going to work with in a folder called Work that I'm working with. These are photos that I took with my camera. These happen to be my great nephews, a couple of my great nephews there. They're school pictures. I scanned them in, and I want to add them to my album, there. This is from my brother and his wife. They celebrated a 25th anniversary, wedding anniversary, and that they had out on Facebook. And I want to save that photo too, so I downloaded it, and now it's in my work directory there. Let's go back here. Oh, we lost our spot there. So I collect the photos from all these different places, make sure I have them down on my computer. And in this case, for the demo today, I'm using this laptop. I normally use my desktop, but it works exactly the same way there. Collect all the files. This is the important next step that I do. I don't just take and accumulate and build up this crap. All of the photos from everywhere with everything on. I don't do that. You have to delete photos. You have to be brutal. Do not keep every photo. Get rid of duplicates. So frequently I'll take multiple photos, maybe from different angles. Well, this one's better and this one's not as good, or this one is of a group. Which one has the better expressions on people's faces and things like that. Keep the good ones. Get rid of the ones that aren't good. Get rid of duplicates. Keep the best. Delete the rest. Delete blurry or poor quality photos. Delete screenshots or temporary photos that you no longer need. Delete unflattering photos. Nobody wants unflattering photos, so even though you may like it, consider the people that are going to be looking at your albums and things like that. Why make somebody mad that you kept a bad photo of them? If you have a whole bunch of photos, maybe you went to a wedding and you had multiple people that took photos and you're all exchanging photos with each other. Going through one by one and removing duplicates and things like that can take a lot of time and effort. Well, there's packages out there that'll let you do it automatically. I use the free software VisiPix. It's software where you just say, look at these two groups of photos, tell me which ones are duplicates. I can pick out which one's the best and it deletes the others. So there's packages out there to let you do that. So once you've gone through and you've deleted, and believe me, you have to delete. Do not keep every photo that you've ever taken. Nobody wants to sit through that kind of a mess of photos. Every photo that you take should tell a story, and that story should include somebody usually in the photo. So if you're on a trip and you take it of the Eiffel Tower, I always tell people, I say, you don't have to take it of the Eiffel Tower. There's a million photographs of the Eiffel Tower. There's a million photographs that are always going to be better than yours. If you want to add a picture of the Eiffel Tower, I'll do a Google search, I'll bring it down. I don't have to spend any time doing that. Now, if it's a friend in front of the Eiffel Tower, or a family, or a selfie with the Eiffel Tower, great. But if it's just a picture of some place, again, every picture should tell a personal story to you. And those aren't personal stories there. So that's just my commentary on what to take pictures of and how to take. Okay, the fourth step that I do in organizing is I adjust the date and the time that is on the photo. So if you took it from a smartphone, the one that we just took right now, smartphones put the correct date and time out there. If you have other cameras, it may not have the correct date and time out there. It's especially true if you downloaded something from Facebook or got it from another source or scanned it in. It just has the date that you scanned it. It doesn't have the date that this was from 1960 or this is from 1940. You want to get the best date that you can. Take your best guess. You can always change the date later, but you do want to make an attempt to get the right date in there. So let's go over to Picasa here. And so these are just some sample photos that I put in here for the month. This is the Picasa organizer, and it gives me a little preview of it. I can make it bigger and that, but you can see we mentioned one of the steps, go through and delete. So here's some pictures. This is from my dad's 98th birthday party in the care center last month. So let's bring this up. Well, that's a good photo. Kind of shows a lot of people, everybody there. There's a picture of my dad right there. And here's another picture. Well, this picture is better than the previous picture. So we go back to the previous picture and we delete this one. We don't need to keep two photos of the same thing. Here's another picture here. Well, a lot of people with their backs there. Not much in this picture. Let's delete it. Here's another one. People with their backs. Let's delete it. Here's one of my dad. He's eating some cake. Not a real flattering one. Here's a better one. So we keep the good one, get rid of the bad one. And that's what you have to do. Go through your photos. This is when we had a little family deal. Set up the camera, took a picture. Well, usually when I take pictures like this, I want multiple because some people have their eyes closed or the wrong expression or that. Find the best one. Here's the best one. Get rid of this other one. Again, you have to be brutal. You have to go through. You have to say, this is the one that I'm going to use. Okay, here's a nice one of the group here. Here's a nice one of the group there. Well, this is almost the same here. Delete it. Don't need it. There's my brother. And there's our group here. This is a fabulous group. We're going to keep this one. So you first go through and decide what to keep there. And then, as I mentioned in the steps, you go through and the ones that were taken by the camera all have the correct date. The one here, this is of my brother and sister-in-law, but it really was from 25 years ago. So I have to change, adjust the date and time for this, and make this the year 2000, because that's when that picture was taken. I want it to show up in the right time. This wasn't a picture that was taken this year or that. I want the right time. Also, it's a case of, okay, I scanned these in. Maybe I want these pictures to show up kind of like the first day of school. These are school pictures. So maybe I want to adjust the date on these two to be 9/11. 1 of 2024. So I'm going through all my photos to make sure that I get the correct dates associated with the photos. It's going to make your life, or it's going to organize your photos into the right year, month, and day there. So let's go back here. Okay, after you've changed the date, the next thing that I usually do with my photos is I rename the file names. I select the photos that are from the same year, month, and day, and I rename them to a format that starts with year, 4-digit year, a dash, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and then a number. I sometimes will add a word or two to help describe the photo. So if it's a wedding or Christmas or something like that, I may do that. But the important thing is the file names, all of my photo file names start with exactly the same. The year, the month, and the day that is the date that they were taken. So if I go back to Picasa here, these two we want to rename. You can see their file name is this image 001, image 004. Here's the ones that were taken by my smartphone. You can see well, it looks like a date, part of a date in there, and then a big long number. Oh, gee, here's another format that starts with IMG underscore. Here's from Facebook. It's got a great big huge number. So all these sources have different file structures in that. I want all of them to be in the same format. So I go through and I can easily rename them all. And the way I do that in this package is I go here, 2024, 09, 01, and it's renamed that. Let's go here. I select this group here. I'm going to take these and I'm going to 2025 01-26, and I've renamed. Now this one is from 25 years ago, so I'm going to rename it 2000, and that was 02-05- I'm putting 1,000 in there, and the reason I put 1,000 in there is that lets me add, if at some later time I get additional photos that I want to show up before that, I can give them a number lower than that. So I'm automatically building in buffers. If a year down the road I scan in some photos or I get a bunch from a family member and I want to put things in, I can automatically put things in there. So it just gives me a little buffer there of what to do. And this one was today. And so I've renamed them all. And again, the more you use your tool, the faster you'll get at it. I do all of this with maybe 100 files in a month, doing everything, changing the dates, moving things around and stuff like that in less than an hour. Once a month, I can spend an hour to organize my photos there. Okay, another step is if you have a smartphone, usually you have turned on there GPS. So whenever you take a photo, the GPS location is stored in the metadata of the photo itself. If you're getting your photos from other sources that may not have GPS, you can go through and add the GPS location using a number of tools. Google Earth is one of them, but there are a lot of other tools that can be used there. The advantage of having them GPSed or geotagged is all these tools will automatically group tools or group photos that were shot in the same location together. So there's special albums that are created, or if it's remembering a date and time, let's say you were in Stillwater and it'll say, here's some memories from Stillwater, a trip that you went on. The next step usually that I do is edit the photos. And because we don't have time, we won't cover that. We'll cover that in March. The next thing that I do in Picasa is what's called people scanning. So Picasa will look at the photos. It'll identify the faces in there, and you can add a description then for each of the people that are in there and assign them. So I do it in Picasa, but everything that I do in Picasa, actually Google Photos does automatically too. But I want them in both places because they're using different technology and different techniques there. So if we go back here to Picasa that I was using, I can turn on people here, and this will tell me for all the photos, it'll say, is this John Kreuzer? I can say, yes, that's John Kreuzer. This is John Kreuzer. Oh, that's Gary. That's not John Kreuzer. I can go here and I can say, Gary. I can assign it to Gary. And so you go through and assign it. Once you start doing that, then all of a sudden you'll see that it starts filling in each of the photos. There's the faces, and there's the names that'll show up. So it's one way to help you organize. I then usually select each of the people. So I've gone through that people scan and done stuff, and I add what's called a tag with their name. And that tag gets written on each photo. So photos, in addition to the actual picture that you're seeing, there's something called metadata. And the metadata in there is data about the photo. In some cases, like on your smartphone, it identifies the model of your smartphone, the shutter speed, the ISO. It identifies about 30 things about when the photo was taken. But you can add other pieces of information which can be very helpful when searching or trying to find things. So I usually add these tags in there. And you can add other tags to your photos too.
You don't do that tag, even though you did that scan and you identified John Kreuzer, you can't find it because there's no tag on it?
Tags are an additional tool to help you find things. So while I'm in Picasa, I can use the recognition of the picture there. But if I'm in other packages and want to scan for things, they may not have the photo recognition, so the tags work better. Tags are something that'll work in almost every photo package anywhere. It's just a way of organizing and keeping track. People are doing less and less tagging now because the artificial intelligence and things like that is getting better and better. So if you say, find me birthday photos, it'll find photos that contain things like balloons and birthday cake and things like that. It knows those are birthday. But if I truly wanted to identify birthday photos, I put the tag birthday in all the photos that are birthday. You can also add a caption, and a caption is like a title or a description of a photo. Google Photos does not show this value, however, it is stored in that metadata that's passed along. And so let's quickly go back here. It's a case of, let me go back, I think I added one in here. So here's an example of a caption here. I put a caption of John Kreuzer's 98th birthday at the Carondelet Care Center. And it's a case of there's multiple photos where I can use that same title. So I can do this, and I can paste it in here, and I can paste it in here, I can paste it in here, I can paste it in here. So you don't have to put a whole lot of effort into some of these things, and I can easily start identifying everything that's going on there. This is some of the metadata. I mentioned the different metadata there. Here's some of the metadata that's stored with each of your photos, depending on the camera that was used and what was done. and the tags that are out there and the people that have been identified, you'll see there's people tags. We identified John Kreuzer, it's identified in there. So there's information that's stored there. And don't worry about the complexity or where it is. Just remember that it's important information that can make your life easier when you're searching and you're trying to find things. So I added in as part of this once a month organizing my photos. Now all the work that we've done in Picasa, that I've done in Picasa, is only available in Picasa. So what I have to do in Picasa is I have to, excuse me, I have to do what's called an export to save those photos so that I can upload them then to Google Photos. That's where I'm going to share and organize them up on Google Photos then. So I have to export it out of Picasa there. Now before I bring it into Google Photos, I then want to delete any existing pictures that were up on Google Photos that I'm now I've made changes to the names, I've made changes to the dates, I've made changes to the file names. I want to delete all those photos so that I can then upload it. And I usually manually upload then the photos to Google Photos into the current year album. So let's go down here. Let me do this. Let's go back here. So let's say I was done for the month doing my edits to the various photos here, and I'm done, and I want to upload these to Google Photos to now share them and get them in that cloud service. So first I do export there. I have a few options in this package on the quality that's exporting. This goes through all these photos and saves them, and let's do that. So that saved them locally on this laptop. Used to have a direct connection with Google Photos and it could automatically shoot them up. Now it doesn't, so I have to do that particular connection manually here. So I go to Google Photos. Like I said, if I've already got a photo of the group here, well, I first go through and delete it because I'm going to be replacing it with my organized version that I may have changed. And that's, so I delete it in this case. I delete it. Now I will upload it. And to upload, I do what's called an import of photos. It's going to my C drive here. And we're just going to bring a single one up here because these other ones I've already uploaded in the past. And there's our picture that we had. If I look at the information here for this photo, you'll see it has our new date, our new file name that we put in here. And if we had adjusted the date, and if we had added any tags in here, all those tags would be in here. If we added a description, our description would be in here. So we'd have all that information that we added there. So we did a bunch of stuff on, or I did a bunch of stuff on Google Picasa to manipulate it and get it. Now I've uploaded it to Google Photos. Up on Google Photos, I have albums up on Google Photos for each year that I add photos to, or special occasions like weddings, trips, birthdays, Christmas, or anything that you want to share with a special group of people. You can also set the cover photo, and you can change the sort order. And you can also choose exactly who can access the album. So if I only want these 3 people to be able to see this album of these photos, I just give access to those 3 people. This other album is family, and maybe I have 20 people in that group, and I share it with the 20 people there. So it's up to you who you share with and how many albums you create and what you do there. As I mentioned here, you can share even just a single photo with somebody or an entire album with just the right people or to the services. So once it's up on Google Photos, I can post it to Facebook and to Twitter if I want to have things. And you can get a URL to put it on, to put it in an email or send it in a text message to somebody. You can do things like that. Google Photos will also do suggested sharing, where it'll look at the facial recognition and it'll combine other images to create a suggested album for you. It also has a smart search, so you can do a search out there. You can search for people or places or things. This searching isn't using the tagging there. So if I go back out to Google Photos here, and let's go back here. So you can go up here and I can search for anything under the sun. So let's say a dog. I'm going to search for a dog there. And there's images in my library all with dogs in there somewhere. Google Photos will also do the facial recognition like I was showing in Picasa, so it'll make its best attempt, and then you can add people if it didn't do it correctly, or that if you want it changed, you can do things there. It's not using what was done in Picasa, so I like to have the faces recognized in both Picasa and in Google Photos, so I do it in both places. Again, takes me, because I've done it so often, if I have 100 photos to work with, it maybe takes me a couple of minutes to do. It's not a great deal there. Google Photos is used by over 500 million people around the world. We won't go into the overview of features, but there's numerous features. A number of the features that are available on a phone or a tablet, lets you do AI functions like erase backgrounds or take an object out or move people within a photo. So, and we'll talk a little bit more about that type of editing in March. Excuse me. Google Photos also lets you do what's called partner sharing. You never have to bug the other person to share photos with you because it happens automatically. And then as an example there, my sister, who's married to Gary there, it's like twisting their arm every time I wanted to get a photo that they may have taken or that. I'd have to bug them. Well, now that she's using Google Photos, she has the option of doing this partner share where I'll automatically get access to the photo. She doesn't have to go out there and each time she takes a new photo and share it with me. So there's some things that can be done automatically. They also have a feature out here called Blocked Folder. This is for your sensitive folders that only you can see and are never shared with anybody else. So some people like to have a private folder there. It also does things called automatic memories, where it'll go through your entire photo library and it will create these memories from this is a year ago or 5 years ago or 40 years ago or this is on a trip that you went. The interesting thing there is it also is sophisticated enough that if you have an ex-spouse that you don't want to see, you can tell it, I don't want to see any memories that contain my ex-spouse, and it won't create any memories of that. This is last tip there. Regardless of which of these cloud services that you use, one of the major advantages is you can cast your photo to your TV. So most TVs nowadays support what's called Chromecast or Apple TV, or there's special apps that you can get that instead of passing a phone around and showing a single photo at a time to people in a group when you're visiting with them. I can just take my phone, I can cast it up to the larger TV screen, and I can do a slideshow presenting it to everybody from my phone up on the larger screen. So that's another major advantage of using any of these cloud services and things like that. Okay, I went through pretty fast there, but we'll take any questions or comments that people have. Well, first we'll start.
I was just wondering earlier, we're going to talk about editing next time, but are there any editing that you recommend that's not compatible with any of these organizing tools?
Yeah, the question, I'll repeat it just for the people if they're online or watching it later. Are there any tools that you'd recommend that are or are there tools incompatible with anything? As kind of I mentioned at the beginning, you have to decide on what your process is going to be to work with it. You can work with one tool or you can work with 10 tools. And so you can add steps, you can change steps. So it really is that matter of what do you really want to do. As an example, in the editing, and I'll talk more about it obviously next month, when you shoot a photo, right when you take the picture, if you're no longer in the moment or driving home in the car, do you edit it at that point? Because you can edit it. There's powerful editing tools on your phone. Do you edit it there or do you edit it once a month when you do it? I edit it once a month when I do it because I have my process. But if you want to edit it right away and do things, you decide what your sequence is going to be. It's just find a combination of tools and steps that give you the results that you want. Okay? Okay. Well, there was a woman in back. Then I'll get you in front. Yeah.
Photo album, and then go from there. That's what I'm in the process of doing it. I was just wondering, I'm going to different stores trying to find the standard photo album. Do you have any suggestions on?
What was the last part about the photo album?
Yeah, or stores that might have photo albums that can begin with this project. Because I'm having a hard time finding hard copy photo albums.
Yeah, the question was, do you know where you can find hard copy photo albums? And to tell you, I don't know, but I'm sure if you went out to Amazon or eBay, there has to be hundreds, if not thousands. Now, having said that, I'll tell you personally what I did. I got rid of all my albums. I no longer have 0 albums, and that includes our family albums. Our family albums, again, nobody wanted to keep them, and if you do keep them, that means one person has access to it. That's not a good thing. An album, I can put one picture in one album in one sequence. These virtual albums out here, I can have a wedding album, I can have an album of an individual person, I can have an album that's broken out by year, I can have the same picture appear in 10 different albums if I want. So the power of that is so much greater. Once you've got it out on a Google Photos, I can pull up my device anywhere in the world. And if I don't have my phone, I can log into my Google account at a hotel over in Mumbai, India, and I can show somebody my photos. I don't have to physically have anything in hand, and yet they're available anytime, anywhere from any device. And that's the power as opposed to physical printing of a photo. If you do need physical printing, and certainly, if you want to put stuff up on the wall or things like that, you always can print it from Google Photos or send it to Walgreens or wherever and have stuff printed there. So, and I do print out some things, and that because let's say it's a good picture that was taken at Christmas time. Well, that makes a good refrigerator hanger. Print out a few copies and send it to people that way. Yes. Or first I'll get in front here and then I'll get you done.
Do cameras send photos to the you said something about on your camera. Can you,
The question was, does the digital camera automatically send it to the cloud? Some of the newer cameras do. The older cameras do not. The first digital cameras were what I would call dumber digital cameras. The newer ones usually have built-in GPS, so they identify the location. They connect to the internet, and if they connect to the internet, they can automatically, just like I took the picture here, they can automatically send stuff up there. The advantage of that, so let's say, instead of me taking a photo here of the group, I was taking a trip over in Europe. All the pictures that I took on my phone in Europe, if somebody ran up to me and stole my phone, I still have all those photos are up in the cloud. I have not lost a photo there, or a truck ran over this, or I dropped it in and destroyed it there.
and how many photos can 1 gigabyte hold? I mean, for example, or how do I know how much storage to buy?
Good question. The question was, how much storage do I know to buy? All of these cloud services, you just buy the storage as you need it. So you keep paying more money as you run out. As far as how many photos fit into a gigabyte, well, it depends on if I have an iPhone 16 and I do it at the high quality there, that can end up with a photo that may be about 50 megabytes per photo. If I don't need that quality, when you take it, you can set your phone and it can take 2 or 3 megabytes. So there's an example of, okay, you may have gotten 20 at the lower quality. The lower quality, if I was taking them of a birthday party, let's say, most people aren't going to look at them on too big a screen, and I'm only going to print it out at maximum of 11 by 14 paper. I'm not going to do a poster size image. I don't need to store it at a higher quality that I'm never going to use. But if you want to store it at the higher quality, you'll just buy more storage. And you'll buy more storage when Amazon or Apple says you've run out of space, you're not going to have to pay another $2 a month or $3 a month, recognizing the fact that you're going to pay that for eternity if you want to keep your files out there. So quality-wise and size-wise, there isn't one standard that says, well, I can get 100 photos in here or stuff like that. Personally, out on Google Photos, it used to be that you could put in unlimited photos out there for free. And that's where I got most of mine. I have over 50,000 photographs out on Google Photos. And I have scanned in my family, and I've uploaded them when it was free. Since that time, I forgot when they went to each photo taking space there. I believe that was 3 years ago. I have not used up my 15 gigabytes of free space out on Google Photos. Let's go out here just quickly. Google Photos, let me go back here. So you can see down here it says, I'm currently using 7.8 gigabytes of 17 gigabytes of space that I have that I'm not paying anything for. So it may be 2 years or 3 years before I have to purchase any more space from them.
Is the cloud last forever?
What's that?
Will the cloud last forever? Like I have pictures from hundreds of years, well, whatever ago, from my great grandparents.
Yes, so out here, my photos, let's go here, let's go back here. And there's greats from 1880. So I have photos from all different years out there. And that's a good question. The question was in the future, normally what would happen if Google is going to make any changes, they would notify you and you'd have time to move it. But I don't trust them. So one of the things I talked about is you always want to have a backup. And the backup is my laptop or an external drive or some other deal. So if a nuclear bomb hit the Google servers, I'd still have all of my photos that I could load up to the Apple iCloud now. So you do want to plan and you do want to have a backup there, but the likelihood, I've known too many people that were not using the cloud. They stored everything on their computer, or they had phones, old SD cards, things like that. What's that? Discs, all these different media types they had. And I knew one person who actually even backed up his laptop and desktop. He had his backup right next to his computer. Thieves broke into his condominium. They didn't say, "Oh, let's leave the backup," so that they took everything. So, to me, photographs are very, very important, and I never want to lose them. I'm never going to lose them, because they are backed up. They are out on the cloud. I have a succession plan. So if I was hit by a truck and I walk out the door there, I use a password manager. That password manager is going to give access to the people that I've designated. They're going to have access to my Google Photos. They're going to have access to my laptops and my desktop. So, you do want to have all of this stuff kind of planned for a little bit. Okay? Donna has a question there. Yeah?
Back to the album question. If you already are using some type of a photo system, do you keep it that way and then convert to a new Google photo system for everything going forward?
Yeah, the question, I'll repeat it. If you have existing albums and you want to convert there, what do you do? Well, the albums work very well as guess what? This is the order that I'm going to work on them. These are the albums that I look at the most. Also, when you start scanning in the pictures and doing things, you're going to be setting that date. The date, and you're going to be identifying faces. Well, it's always easier to identify faces and places and dates when they're grouped together there. So it's a good idea to work on one album, and then when you get done with this album and change all the dates and edit it to clean it up to make it look good, things like that, then move on to the next album. Now, whether you keep the album or not, that, like I said, in our family, it was a case of saying, well, does anyone want to keep it there? And we didn't have anyone that wanted to keep it there. And I wasn't going to keep it because I'm not a hoarder. I call people that keep everything hoarders, unfortunately. But because you have it available digitally, and I can get at it anytime from anywhere, and I can print it out if I do need a hard copy. That's, to me, the best, that a person can do there. So does that answer the albums? The other thing that you may not have thought of is frequently people have either boxes of negatives and things like that. So it's a case there of when you're dealing with the albums, you can also figure out your plan of what you want to do with negatives and then slides and everything else. But it becomes this case of if you're building an album online, instead of having just a single album, you may choose multiple albums. So as an example here, I've got some early photos of my grandmother. Well, my grandmother also had a scrapbook that she kept from the 1920s. I don't know, and even my dad doesn't know all the people that are in these various scrapbook photos and stuff like that, but I didn't want to get rid of it. So I scanned them in, I make them available, I put them in an album, but they aren't in the album that the rest of the family tends to look at there. So being digital and being that it's not a single copy, I can put it in multiple albums, arrange it any way that I want. And if I don't know the names of these people, it's a case of as I start showing it to more people or sharing it with other family members or another side of the family, they may go, oh, this is so-and-so. Well, then I go back in and I add that information in. So it's really powerful what you can do with this stuff out here and that. But it's like I mentioned earlier, the ancient Chinese proverb. A lot of people don't do it because they recognize that they've got thousands of photographs and they're just, oh, it's too daunting of a task. Well, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with that first step and the first album, or like I say, even just starting with if you have a smartphone. I'm just going to take the photos that I took so far in 2025, start organizing them. Once I've got those, then I'll go to 2024 and I'll kind of work my way backwards to each of the years and start putting stuff together there. And you'll figure out the process how much time and effort you're willing to put in and what's the most important information there and things like that as you go along. Okay.
Back to the storage question. If I have adequate space on my computer, but I'm backing up to the cloud, everything's backed up to the cloud, aren't those pictures still on my computer also?
Yeah, the photos in my case are still on the laptop or the desktop, but as far as what I'm sharing and organizing, it's the cloud that I'm sharing and organizing, because that's what that's what everybody else sees. Everybody else sees the albums that are out here, and so they see everything that's in these albums. They aren't seeing what's personally on my computer. And so indirectly, this is more the backup, and that's more the system of record, because the system of record truly is what you're sharing with everybody else. Other question or comment?
That's one other one. I have Apple facial recognition, which is only good for so long when I have young grandchildren. Is Google Picasso any better at facial recognition of people that are changing? It's great for adults, but
yeah, the facial recognition, actually the Picasso that I'm using, that package there, that's technology that is 10 years old. And that does an excellent job of identifying young, old, stuff like that. It has some problems with people that wear hats, people with sunglasses on, some things like that. But what you can do with any of these facial recognition is you can also train it. So where it doesn't find a match, or if it identifies it as somebody else, you just say, oh, that's really John Kreuzer, that's my dad. And the more that you identify and that, so let's go back here. Let's go. So in Google Photos, so this is Google Photos there. These would be all the photos that have been identified and assigned to a person, and even a dog. It'll do dogs in that. But there's also people here where you'll see there's no names. Well, I can go in here and it can show me all the photos that they're in here, and I can assign it a name or an existing person. Or if I was looking, let's say at, let's go back here.
If you have a file for that person, then it'll put it in that file.
Right, it'll add it in there. Again, it's not physically moving it. That's the beauty of all this is that. But here's a case of, so let's say one of these photos was not a bill here. I can take, and you can see in this particular photo, this is my brother-in-law and a friend of his, and I identified another that this isn't right, but it did a couple right. People with beards and stuff like that, it has less chance there. But you can go in, and you'll see here 2 faces available to add. I can go in here and I can add these other faces and identify who they are, or I can change this and say, well, this really isn't Bill, it really is John or whoever. So you can do that. You just have to be aware, before you spend too much time doing all of that, is that's specific to this package. There is no industry standard on how to save that information or move it from one package to another. So that's where, when I talked about making a decision on a cloud service and one system of record, you don't want to be using multiple systems because it'll drive you crazy and you'll have too many problems. You want one system and put the effort and the time into that one system. But yeah, it'll let you work on the things there and get it any way that you want it there to organize and that. And those types of tools are only getting better and better, like you said, because of artificial intelligence, and these services are doing a better and better job. But you also have, well, since we've gone down this road, let me go down one more rabbit hole here. Where's my album here? Where is, oh, I must have went by it. So this is a site where you can upload several photos of yourself. And it'll generate like 1,000 different photographs of you and all different things. So here I am as an Egyptian prince, and I don't think they had glasses back there in Egypt, but I must have been a time traveler there. But it'll take the photos, and this is part of the editing and the manipulation that can be done there. And this was all done for free on a genealogy site. Never have I had a mustache or a beard, but it puts it into a number of the photographs. I don't know if I like it or don't like it, but again, you can see the job that it does. I mean, these are, professional quality photographs that nobody would ever know other than, well, yeah, I'm not a Roman warrior, that kind of a thing. Any other questions, final question or comment? And kind of like I said at the beginning of the presentation, journey of 1,000 miles begins with that first step. Get off your butt, start doing it today. You're not going to do it perfect out of the gate. You're going to learn. You're going to want different tools, because if you start saying, gee, I'd really like to have this done, maybe the tools that you're familiar with don't give you that capability. Well, guess what? On this, you go out to the Apple Store or the Android Play Store, there's 8 million apps out there. There's an app to do everything under the sun. There's software on the PC. I prefer to do my editing and my organizing on the PC because the screen is so much bigger, and especially for editing and things like that, I can do it much faster with a mouse and go through all those edits, make my changes to organize it, upload it, And like I say, it's usually a commitment for me anyway of less than an hour a month to keep up to date with all of my photographs there. Okay? Thanks. Thank you.
That was very useful. It's my first time.
Oh, yeah, there aren't too many issues that I'll say, you know, it has to be done this way. Because people are different, and if you have different devices,